Have you ever wondered how to grow your own tomatoes at home? Well, you're not alone. More and more people are discovering the rewarding experience of cultivating their own produce, and tomatoes are often the top choice. Why, you ask? Apart from the fact that they're delicious, tomatoes are also incredibly versatile, playing a starring role in countless dishes across various cuisines. Growing tomatoes at home isn't just about the food though, it's about connecting with nature, understanding the cycle of growth, and reaping the satisfaction that comes from nurturing a plant from seed to fruit. Plus, homegrown tomatoes are free from harmful pesticides and can be picked at the peak of their ripeness, offering an unparalleled taste experience. So, whether you're a seasoned gardener looking to expand your green thumb repertoire, or a beginner just dipping your toes into the world of horticulture, this guide is for you. In the next few minutes, you will learn the step-by-step guide on how to cultivate your very own tomato garden. The first step to growing your own tomatoes is preparing the soil. Let's delve into the world beneath our feet where the magic truly begins. Soil is the heart of your garden, the life-giving foundation for your tomato plants. With fertile soil, your tomatoes will have everything they need to grow strong and healthy, providing you with a bountiful harvest. So, how do you make your soil tomato ready? The answer lies in understanding the soil's pH level and enriching it with organic matter or compost. Tomatoes prefer a slightly acidic environment. The ideal soil pH for these red beauties is between 6 and 7. A pH level within this range facilitates the optimal absorption of nutrients by the tomato plants. If your soil's pH is outside this range, don't fret. You can easily adjust it using readily available soil amendments. Once your soil's pH is in check, it's time to enrich it. This is where organic matter or compost comes into play. These natural fertilizers are rich in nutrients that tomatoes need to thrive. They also improve the soil's texture, making it easier for the tomato roots to spread and absorb water and nutrients. You can make your own compost from kitchen scraps or purchase it from a local garden center. To prepare your soil, dig a hole about 2 feet deep and wide. Mix the removed soil with your organic matter or compost and return it to the hole. This creates a fertile bed for your tomato plants to nestle into and start their growth journey. Remember, good soil preparation does not only provide a conducive environment for your tomatoes, but also boosts their resistance to pests and diseases. It's an essential step that sets the stage for your tomato growing success. With your soil ready, it's time to move on to planting. Once your soil is prepared, it's time to plant your tomato seeds. The process is straightforward, but attention to detail can make all the difference to your harvest. Let's begin. Tomato seeds are rather small, but they pack a punch. Each seed has the potential to become a plant that produces a bounty of delicious, juicy tomatoes. So how do you get from seed to harvest? Start by creating small holes in the soil. These holes, or furrows, should be about 1/4 of an inch deep. This depth is perfect for the seeds, which need to be covered but not buried. After making the furrows, sprinkle the seeds into them. Now on to spacing. Tomato plants need room to grow, so don't crowd your seeds. Aim for about 3 inches between each seed. This will give each little sprout its own space to thrive, ensuring optimal growth and productivity. Once your seeds are nestled into their furrows, cover them gently with soil. Remember, you're not burying treasure, just lightly cover the seeds. They need contact with the soil but also access to light and air. Speaking of light, it's crucial for germination. Tomato seeds need warmth and light to sprout. So, place your newly planted seeds in a sunny spot. Ideally, they should get around 6 to 8 hours of sunlight each day, but remember, they also need warmth. If it's too chilly, your seeds might not sprout, no matter how sunny it is. And that's it. You've planted your tomato seeds. The process might seem simple, but it's the beginning of a journey. From these tiny seeds, mighty tomato plants will grow, laden with delicious, sun-ripened tomatoes. Remember, the secret to a good harvest is in the details. The right depth, the correct spacing, the perfect amount of sunlight, all these factors can influence your crop. After planting your seeds, the next step is to properly care for your plants. Now you're on your way to growing your own delicious homegrown tomatoes. Enjoy the process and look forward to the fruits of your labor. Caring for your tomato plants is crucial for a good harvest. These vibrant fruits require attention and love, but rest assured, the rewards are well worth the effort. Watering is one of the most critical aspects of tomato care. Tomatoes love water, and they need a steady supply to develop juicy, delicious fruits. But how much water is enough? Well, a general rule of thumb is to provide around 1 to 2 inches of water per week, depending on the weather. In hotter conditions, You might need to water your tomatoes more frequently. It's best to water the plants early in the morning, so the water gets down into the soil and doesn't evaporate in the heat of the day. Now, let's talk about weeding. Weeds are notorious for stealing the nutrients that your tomatoes so desperately need. Regular weeding is vital to ensure your tomatoes get all the nourishment they require. Gently pull out the weeds from the root, taking care not to disturb the tomato plants. A layer of mulch can also help suppress weeds and retain moisture in the soil. As your tomato plants grow, they'll start to bear heavy fruit, and that's where stakes or cages come in handy. These structures provide the necessary support, keeping the fruit off the ground and preventing the branches from breaking under the weight. You can use wooden stakes or metal cages. Just make sure to install them early in the plant's life to avoid damaging the roots later. Unfortunately, tomato plants can be susceptible to a range of pests and diseases. Aphids, whiteflies, and tomato hornworms are common pests that can wreak havoc on your plants. Regularly inspect your plants for signs of these pests and deal with them promptly using organic pest control methods. Diseases like blight and leaf spot can also affect tomatoes. Prevention is the best cure, so ensure good air circulation, avoid overhead watering, and rotate crops to prevent these diseases. Now, let's not forget about fertilization. Tomatoes are heavy feeders and benefit from regular feeding. Start with a balanced fertilizer at planting time, then switch to a high-potassium fertilizer once the plants start to flower. This will help promote fruit development. And finally, remember to prune your tomato plants. Pruning helps direct the plant's energy towards fruit production rather than unnecessary leaf growth. Remove the suckers, which are small shoots that sprout from the junction of the stem and branches. But be cautious not to over-prune, as it can stress the plant and expose the fruits to sun-scald. With proper care, your tomato plants will grow strong and healthy. So roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, and you'll be rewarded with a bountiful harvest of delicious homegrown tomatoes. After weeks of care, your tomatoes are ready for harvest. The ripeness of a tomato isn't always about its color. Generally, tomatoes are ready to pick when they have reached their full color: red, yellow, green, or even purple, depending on the variety. However, the most reliable way to tell if a tomato is ripe is by touching it. A ripe tomato should feel firm but give slightly when you press it. Now let's consider the art of picking tomatoes. It's not just about yanking them off the vine. Instead, hold the fruit gently in your hand and twist until the stem breaks free from the vine. Be careful not to squeeze too hard and bruise the fruit, and try to leave a bit of the stem attached. This delicate approach ensures that you don't damage the plant or the fruit, allowing for more bountiful harvest throughout the season. After harvesting, it's essential to store your tomatoes correctly to maintain their quality. As tempting as it may be to put those beautiful tomatoes in the refrigerator, resist the urge. Cold temperatures can make the tomatoes mealy and mute their flavor. Instead, keep them at room temperature, ideally in a single layer and not touching each other, stem end down. Storing them this way can help prevent the buildup of ethylene gas, which can hasten ripening and lead to spoilage. If you have more tomatoes than you can eat before they go bad, consider preserving them by canning, drying, or freezing. Remember, the joy of growing your own tomatoes doesn't end at the harvest. There's a certain satisfaction in knowing that the fruits of your labor are not only delicious, but also free of harsh chemicals and pesticides. And the taste of a homegrown tomato, fresh from the vine, is simply incomparable to store-bought varieties. Now that you've harvested your tomatoes, let's talk about the different ways you can enjoy them. Tomatoes come in a variety of types, each with its own unique taste and uses. Now let's delve into the world of tomato varieties and see how they can be used to create some mouth-watering dishes. First up, we have cherry tomatoes. Small in size but packed with flavor, these tomatoes are perfect for salads and snacking. They're often sweet, juicy, and come in a range of colors from classic red to yellow, and even purple. Then there are beefsteak tomatoes. These are the big guys, often used for sandwiches or any dish where you need a substantial slice of tomato. They have a classic tomato flavor, a balance of sweetness and acidity. Roma tomatoes, also known as plum tomatoes, are meatier and less watery, making them perfect for sauces and pastes. Their elongated shape and dense flesh make them a favorite for making homemade tomato sauce. Heirloom tomatoes are a special category altogether. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and each variety has its own unique flavor. Some are sweet, some are tangy, and others are incredibly rich and complex. Now let's turn these wonderful varieties into something delicious. Let's start with a classic tomato salad using cherry tomatoes. Slice a handful of cherry tomatoes, add some fresh basil leaves, a drizzle of olive oil, a sprinkle of sea salt, and voila! A fresh and vibrant salad is ready to be enjoyed. Next, we have a simple but flavorful tomato sauce using Roma tomatoes. Start by blanching and peeling the tomatoes. Then, in a pot, sauté some finely chopped garlic and onion until they become translucent. Add the tomatoes, a pinch of salt, and let it simmer until it thickens into a sauce. This sauce can be used as a base for pasta, pizza, or any dish that calls for tomato sauce. For a hearty sandwich, try using beefsteak tomatoes. Simply slice them up, lay them on a slice of bread with some lettuce, bacon, and mayonnaise, and you've got yourself a classic BLT. And for a unique appetizer, try roasting some heirloom tomatoes. Cut them into halves, drizzle with olive oil, sprinkle with salt and pepper, and roast in the oven until they are caramelized and sweet. They make a fantastic addition to a cheese board, or can be enjoyed on their own. Remember, these are just a few examples. The possibilities are endless when it comes to cooking with tomatoes. Experiment with different varieties and recipes to find your favorite combination. With these recipes, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor in more ways than one. Growing your own tomatoes at home is not only rewarding but also a fun and educational experience. We've covered a lot of ground today, so let's take a moment to recap some of the key points we've discussed. We started with the importance of soil preparation. Remember, tomatoes thrive best in well-drained, nutrient-rich soil with a slightly acidic pH. Regularly adding compost or organic matter can help improve your soil's fertility over time. Next, we moved on to planting the seeds. We discussed the importance of planting frames and how they provide support as your tomatoes grow. We also touched on the importance of spacing. Remember, overcrowded plants can lead to reduced air circulation and higher disease risks. Tomato care was our next topic. We explored how regular irrigation and optimal light exposure are critical to the health and productivity of your tomato plants. Also, we delved into the common pests and diseases that can affect tomatoes and how to tackle them effectively. We then discussed harvesting and storing your homegrown tomatoes. The joy you'll feel when you pick your very first ripe, juicy tomato is something truly special. And remember, storing them at room temperature will help retain their fresh, tangy flavor. Lastly, we explored the different types of tomato varieties and shared some tasty recipes. Whether you prefer the sweet, bite-sized cherry tomatoes or the large, meaty beefsteak variety, there's a tomato for every taste and culinary need. And so we've come to the end of our tomato growing guide. We hope that you found the information helpful and that it sparked a desire to start your own tomato garden. There's nothing quite like the taste of a homegrown tomato or the satisfaction that comes from knowing you've grown it yourself. Remember, gardening is a journey, not a destination. It's about learning, experimenting, and most importantly, enjoying the process. With the knowledge you've gained today, you are now ready to embark on your tomato gardening journey. Happy gardening!